Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome into Morning in the Valley, your home for year-round coverage of Missouri Valley Conference men's and women's basketball. I'm Jeff Bidwell. Good show today. I hope it'll be a great show. We're going to under promise, hopefully over deliver. Illinois State men's basketball coach Ryan Pedon will be with us. We're going to talk some CBI, winning a championship, one of the handful of teams in America that got to end a season with a win. But most importantly to me, and I know a lot of people around the Missouri Valley, how in the sweet world did Ryan Pedon get everybody to come back for another year, to run it back one more time in Normal? We'll talk with Coach Pedon coming up. We'll also talk with Paul Oren, our first two-time member of the member of the two-time guest club here at Morning in the Valley. We're going to talk with Paul about Monday's introductory news conference with Courtney Boyd, the ninth women's head coach, officially introduced on Monday at Valparaiso. So we'll talk with Paul coming up at about 9:30. Coach Pedon should be with us here at about 9:10, 9:15. We'll get him on as soon as he rolls in. But we are going to start this morning with Courtney Boyd. As again, 9 o'clock. It was right when we were going on the air with you on Monday morning. Courtney Boyd officially introduced at Valparaiso as the head coach of the Beacons. And the thing that jumped out to me about Courtney Boyd was just sort of her poise and just being sort of in control of the moment. I think as much as anything, she was. Look, this is not her first rodeo. She has been a head coach at the NAIA level. She is a national championship winning coach at the NAIA level. She has been a head coach at the Division II level, where she has, taken Quincy to the NCAA tournament on the Division II level. So certainly, look, it's her first Division I job. If she was going to be nervous, you can understand, it's the biggest professional move of her career. But at the same time, I thought she handled everything exceptionally well. And in terms of just winning the press conference, I thought she did great. Like every coach since the dawn of man that stands in front of a podium at the introductory press conference, it's like, Coach, how are you going to play? We're going to play fast. Well, not yes, that's what they all say. They don't always mean it, but she, as she said, as a former point guard, we're going to play fast, but we're going to play the part that stuck to me was we're going to play fast with a purpose, which, reckless is one thing, but we're going to play fast with a purpose. She is a relationship driven coach, and she hammered that point home multiple times at her news conference. And I think today, look, that's always been important. And whether it's basketball, it's any sport, whether you're selling insurance, no matter what it is, the world is relationship driven. And so that is, I really feel like it is maybe even more important now in this NIL era, where you're trying to keep kids around, and you don't just recruit them to campus, you have to re-recruit them basically every year to keep them there. And so I think that's important, that maybe as important as relationships have been forever, they're even more important now. And so I thought that was great to hear her kind of just bang on that drum. She also talked with her players, the current players now on Valpo's roster who are sticking around and are going to be with her next year. And she had a message to those young ladies at her press conference on Monday.
Current players, I see some of you. Thank you guys for showing up today. Thank you guys for staying on board. I know that it's not an easy task to go through, whether it's one coach or multiple coaches, especially with the landscape of some of your teammates at any given time or in and out, some of your coaches at any given time. Coaching right now in college athletics is a really interesting profession right now, because relationships are important to me, but sometimes it doesn't matter about the relationships, and the student athletes are chasing other things. So I respect you all as players for sticking it out and putting your trust in Laurel and President Padilla for who they are going to bring in. I promise you, you're not going to be disappointed with where we're headed with this. So thank you. 3:30. I'll see you guys soon.
She could not get on the floor and start coaching those kids fast enough. So I think the other part that was neat to hear from her, I said it was just, neat's the right word, but it came across as loud to me as much as anything was. And I think the direct phrase she used was, great things take time. This is not going to be, there is no expectation of this being an overnight flip at Valparaiso. So many great programs in the Missouri Valley. This is a program with one winning season since 2009, but she invited the fans and basically just telling the players, like, look, we are on the ground floor, but she has shown at the NAIA level, she has shown at the Division II level, she is a builder. And so that is the expectation, that she is going to be able to continue that at Valparaiso. So we will talk again with Paul Oren here in about 25 minutes or so, and get his thoughts on Courtney Boyd's first week officially on the job there at Valparaiso. Some movement in the conference in terms of transfer portal on the way out and from Valparaiso, which we knew last week, the twins, Sanaya and Nevaeh Jackson, who had entered the transfer portal. And I believe they were in the portal before Coach Boyd was officially hired. But they have committed to Butler. So they will continue their career at Butler. Nevaeh was second leading scorer, nearly 14 points a game last year for Valparaiso. Sanaya missed the year with an injury, but she is the two of them together, package deal, going from Valparaiso on to Butler. Staying in the Missouri Valley, and some valley to valley movement. We saw Illinois State. They officially signed. We talked on Monday about how they had gotten a commitment, but they now have everything signed and official. It is Bella Finnegan, the Indiana State product, has played there the last couple of years. She is now officially a Redbird. Almost 13 points a game, second on the team in scoring last year with the Sycamores. Look, she's a 6-foot guard. She's got some outside range, shot about 33% from three last year, but she has hit at least 53s the last two seasons. So really, I think that's a pretty significant add in the end for Kristen Gillespie up there at Illinois State, and Bella will be able to impact that Redbird program. My favorite part about Bella, as I was going through the research and just trying to get things ready for the show this morning, was Bella's hometown is hometown Illinois, which was, I was like, okay, the first time I read it, I was like, that's sort of the template that somebody had to go in and forgot to actually put her hometown in there. And then second and third source was like, oh no, her hometown is hometown, which I think is sort of the first cousin of when your grandparents put their password in to the computer and they put password in. So anyway, it's early, sorry, but she is from hometown Illinois, and now she is from a proud member of the Illinois State Redbird program. Another signing to announce, which again, we had the commitment the other day, but now it is officially official. Maya Wardle, the daughter of Brian Wardle, head coach of the Bradley men's team. Well, she's coming home back to Peoria, and she's going to play for Kate Popovic-Goss with the Bradley women. So spent a season over at Eastern Kentucky, and she's coming back home. So always good to see the hometown kids back again. So Maya Wardle, now a proud Bradley Brave. One piece of movement from Murray State, Ada Kelling, a freshman on the championship team last year. Didn't get a whole lot of run, and ultimately she wanted to play more. Entered the transfer portal. She committed to earlier this week, committed to Bethel University down in McKenzie, Tennessee. So best of luck to Ada in her future endeavors. All right. Now we get to the men's side. And, we talked on Monday about the situation of this was a big weekend coming up in terms of this was a big coming off a big weekend of recruiting and a lot of visits and a lot of Zooms and a lot of talks, that this was going to be the week you were going to start seeing there was going to be some hay being made. And at Murray State, that has most certainly been what we have seen in the last 24 to 48 hours as new head coach Ryan Miller has been busy, and they have added a bunch here in the last couple of days. And it started on, I guess, over the weekend, officially, as we bring in Javon Jackson, the leading scorer for UIC last year. 6'3" guard, senior, averaged about 11.5 points. But Murray State, very well versed in what he can do. He had 30 against the Racers in that double overtime game up in Chicago last January. The thing about the portal that is everybody's excited about every portal edition right now. And a lot of the portal is about when it comes to its potential. You see guys that, hey, they only got 2 points a game and maybe only played 4 minutes a game at their last stop, but you see the pedigree they had coming in. Maybe they have a chance. Maybe they've got an opportunity now to play a little bit more. And okay, I can see how high the ceiling is for them. And you're excited about the possibilities with that. Javon Jackson's a dude that has played a lot and has scored a lot. And look, was the UIC's leading scorer on Rob Eson's team last year that really surprised a ton of people with where they were able to start the year. Faded a little bit late, but I think all in all, the total package of what the Flames were able to put together in the first year of the Eson era there in Chicago was fantastic. So this is a guy that has shown he can do it in this league. And as the kids like to say, I think that's a good get for Ryan Miller. Most certainly. Then yesterday, another addition. This is Lane Taylor, a 5'11 guard, played his freshman season this last year at Central Arkansas, led Central Arkansas in scoring 17.5 points per game, had an assist to turnover ratio of better than 2-1, shoulder surgery in January. So he didn't play the last 10, 15 games of the year. But was an all freshman team member in the ASUN. Probably would have been freshman of the year if he'd been able to play the entire season. But another kid that comes in and has shown that he can score at the Division I level. We'll see how he fits into Ryan Miller's system, at Murray State. And then last night, the big one was 6'10". His name is Brock Weiss, and if nothing else, Brock Weiss is a first-team all-name teamer right out of the gate. Brock Weiss, who out of Memphis, Tennessee, we know there's a lot of Memphis connections with this Murray State coaching staff with Ryan Miller. He comes out of Memphis, goes to Creighton for a year, where, again, Ryan Miller was an assistant coach. After one season, transfers out, goes to North Texas, plays for Ross Hodge. Didn't play very much, played 5 games, I think, 17 minutes, I think, in total. But that relationship, again, that we have seen from old Creighton guys that Ryan Miller is comfortable with. Look, he's a kid that he's played 5 games in his college career in 2 years. But Ryan Miller spent a year with him, so he knows what's under the hood with Brock Weiss. And at 6'10", that's certainly some size that will help Murray State in the Missouri Valley Conference. All right, time now. We don't want to make our guest wait any longer. Our guest of honor number 1 today. He is the head coach of the Redbirds of Illinois State, and he is Ryan Pedon. And, Coach, good morning to you. I just have to get right to it. This is the question I wanted to ask you for about 3 weeks, and I think it's a question a lot of people around the Missouri Valley want to know. How in the sweet world did you get your entire roster that did not graduate almost to a man to come back again and run it back one more time with you guys next year?
Well, first of all, great to be with you, Jeff. Appreciate all that you do for the Valley and the efforts that you put forth for not just our sport, but for the conference as a whole. But I appreciate the question, but let's talk about the Racers. I mean, there is some serious heat coming from Murray, Kentucky right now. Your Racers are getting commitments by the hour here. So you guys are rocking and rolling, Jeff.
Well, there's something about winning April, and it felt like maybe the first 2 weeks of April, everybody had I don't know about penciled it in, but felt like they had Sharpied in the Redbirds as your preseason pick to win the Missouri Valley Conference with everybody coming back. And now, Ryan Miller said, hang on, guys, hang on a little bit. So, yeah,
there's a lot of talk. I think there's a huge, there's so many differences in our profession in the last 5 to 10 years. You know that, Jeff. I think this is becoming more of a year-round endeavor, right? As a sport, but also, collegiately. It used to be, well, we'll follow the baseball team and then transition to the summer and then the football team and then come up for air again in the winter and watch our team and watch our guys that have come back for 3 or 4 or 5 years. And now it's becoming part of the news cycle, the year-round news cycle. I think people love talking about all the acquisitions. I can't keep up with it, to be real honest with you. Like it distracts me. So I try to really keep my mind on our business, the guys we're recruiting, most importantly, the guys in our locker room. It's because it can be dizzying, just all the transactions going on and all the banter. I think people are talking way too much about us because we have everyone back. I think it's great that we have everyone back. We're very excited, but that doesn't put us, it as well as I do. That doesn't put us in. The only reason people are saying that now is because we've got a semi-full locker room and nobody else probably does. So it's awesome. I'm excited. I'm very happy that we'll have our guys coming back. We've got some older guys, but we've also got a blend of younger guys as well. And I think it was so important to keep all of them. I get most questions about Chase Walker and Johnny Kinzinger and Ty Pence and Jack Doherty, but the truth of the matter is I'm excited about each and every one of them coming back. And that's the truth. I feel strongly about our locker room and the power that lies within the team, right? All of this is about individuals, and I get that that's part of it. But for that reason, I really, there's parts of April I just hate. I really don't. I don't think it's healthy. I don't for a lot of reasons. But to keep the focus on the team, that requires some fairly mature individuals, I think. And these guys all sacrificed. The ones that stayed, there's things they're sacrificing. Some they may be sacrificing more minutes they could be playing somewhere else, more money they could be making somewhere else. But, the way I was raised, that's the essence of team sport, especially the game of basketball. Is the beautiful part about it is, when you sacrifice and you have a group of guys that sacrifice for the betterment of the team and the common goal, that's when you can do special things. And that's what I'm really trying to keep our players' mindset on this spring and utilize this time to our advantage where we do have a group that's coming back. Let's make it count and use that to our advantage this spring.
I'm a firm believer in continuity is king. And you saw, look, we went through this. Bradley last year was the April winner because they had so many guys coming back and they had a really good year. Now, does it end up getting you the NCAA tournament? No, there's a lot of work that has to be done between now and then, but just in terms of retention and that part of the job now, is it, how much re-recruiting do you do? I mean, is this how active are you in trying to keep kids there that you want to stay there? Do you give them space? Do you give them the full court press? Is there a little bit of a snowball effect? Like, all right, Chase Walker's back. Great. Hey, Jack Doherty's back. You guys, the snowball starts rolling downhill. What's your sort of philosophy on April?
Yeah. So I think each individual, treat each and every player as an individual entity, right? The order that it goes, the order that guys are making their decisions, you can't really control that. We know that. The order that ours went, I do think played to our advantage because we had the big fella put his neck out there early, even before our CBI tournament, and say, I'm back. I'm coming back. And not only am I coming back, I'm ready to get this done and make a decision. So that helped us clearly because our guys in the locker room know he's a really good player and an integral piece to our success moving forward. So I think that definitely helped. I don't think it was everything. Each individual case is different, in itself, but there is a re-recruitment process. I'm not going around kissing butt. I'm not doing that all spring. I'm going to coach them and recruit them in truth. And, if that doesn't align with what they're looking for, then I don't know if it behooves them or us for them to stay. I think this all has to kind of match up. So I think it was fairly unique because we had 4 seniors exiting. So these guys will step into, most of them, more prominent roles. To your point, Jeff, retention is important. It's not, I don't think what everybody's making it. I don't think it's everything. I think it's important if you handle it the right way, right? Here's the poison in all this. Everybody's coming back. Teams that get everybody back, that can be a great thing, but it's human nature to want a bigger piece of the pie. Right. So if we're returning 6, 7, 8 guys and they all want a bigger piece of the pie, that's not how this works. We've all got to be equally committed to the team. Be the best version of yourself. Allow nature to take its course. Play the right way. Keep your mindset on the team first. Be obsessed with winning, not me. And you turn on Twitter. If I go on Twitter right now, it's all about individuals. That's all it is, and that's what our kids are seeing. And that's something that I what do I worry about? I worry about external voices and factors that we can't control, but I can't control that, so I can't lose sleep over that. The education part, though, I think is important. Getting them to understand what's required to win championships. Why did you come here in the first place? Keeping their mindset on what I feel are the important things. We all have individual goals within this sport. There's nothing wrong with that. It's our job as coaches to help each of these kids reach their dreams and reach their goals. But I never want that to supersede the locker room and the team. And that's been a big part of my message outside of our re-recruitment meetings following the season, because I just think that's getting lost in all this, and that bothers me.
There is the old days, you just assumed kids were coming back. Now there almost feels like there's the default that you assume they're leaving until you hear otherwise. Your program, your women's program as well, the last couple of weeks seem to have been very intentional in posting individuals that, hey, I'm back and I'm back with the team. And what was there a method to that madness, or just sort of just kind of happened?
That's controlled by our external relations department. They had all those, made and ready to go. So as coaches, we don't have a whole lot. It's
exciting. It's like, hey, everybody's coming back. This is great.
I think that's what they're thinking, is that it's good for the fan base. Our town is special, right? We've got 170,000 people here. Basketball is a big deal. It's a basketball community. It's a basketball school. I think a lot of people would say that. Men's and women's basketball are super important, not to diminish the other sports at all. But I think basketball is important here. So I think that's part of it, is you've got to be able to ignite your fan base for a variety of reasons. Interest, excitement, season tickets, and now, as you know, excitement of a fan base from boosters, from donors, from supporters, from alumni, now contributes to NIL. And, this is, in essence, this is one giant hype machine now that we're all a part of. And I think there's some good stuff in there. I think that anytime you can retain, I think, off of a group of team that's had success, a group of young men or women that have had success, I think that's a good thing. And we've got some kids that our fans have really attached themselves to, and I think have strong feelings about. And it's been a good thing. I think that's the hope is that the interest continues to grow, and the NIL follows, because that's a huge part of everything we do today in college athletics.
With so much postseason movement, you see so many schools that don't get into the NCAA tournament just opt out of, I'm not going to the NIT, I'm not going to the CBI, and you guys went to the CBI and were very successful, and we'll get to that in a moment. But what was the thought process? Was there any thought process of, we're not going to play in this thing, or was it, we're going to keep playing until they tell us we have to stop?
Yeah, I've been a part of staffs in the past that sometimes you talk to the captains, sometimes you may take a team vote, you may get input from your seniors. We weren't doing that this year. Here, the decision was being made. I wanted them to know that if we had an opportunity to play in a postseason for the first time in 9 years here at this school, we were going to do it. and we were going to do it the right way. What I didn't know when we made that decision, and we talked about this the night we lost in the Valley tournament back at the hotel, what I didn't know is how, especially my seniors, were going to respond to that, because you don't know. Sometimes the seniors are, there's no gas in the tank. They're shot. They're done. They're looking forward to getting it over with. That was not the case with our guys, and I was so happy about that. We gave them about 6 days off following our loss in the tournament, and we reconvened and we came back really refreshed. We practiced. We took a day off. We took a couple days of practice, took a day off, and then a couple more days before we headed down to Florida. And we were going to utilize that trip almost like a bowl game. I wanted the mindset to be win or lose. This was going to be a positive experience for our players. And it certainly helps when you win, right? We won a game and then we get a day off. We're kind of zeroed in now. We're into it and really, wanting to come away with a win in day 2 for us. And we did. And then we were able to play for a championship on the 3rd day. So it ended up being, it was going to be a good experience either way, Jeff, but it ended up being a great experience that I think we could build a lot of momentum off of for obvious reasons.
So you get there and you win and you win and you win. And like, as we said, there's only so many schools in the country that get a chance to win their last game. How much momentum and a springboard into the off season, and maybe we'll have to answer this in another 9 months down the road, but does it just feel different maybe going into the spring a little bit with everybody a little more hop on their step?
Yeah, it does. I think it does. The true momentum, what will that have done for our program? That'll be told over the long haul, I think, as we go into the fall, into the winter next year. But I do think, Jeff, what it has done just for our program in terms of a shot in the arm, some real genuine confidence. We're one of 4 teams that ended the season in the country on a win. We played some really good basketball down the stretch. There's some very obvious momentum there that I think is great for us. It's great for us because we had a lot of young guys that have never played in the postseason in college. I was proud of our seniors. I gave them a lot of credit as we finished up there through the media and also in the locker room. I give them all credit. They all played tremendous in that championship game. Dalton Banks, Malachi Poindexter, Jordan Davis, and Caden Bozer, who played the game of his life in the championship games, 7 for 7 from the field and had 20 points. It was awesome to see those guys finish on a high note. So I was really proud of them. But I'm really equally as excited for our young guys that they got to experience tournament basketball, short turnarounds, the feeling of euphoria that you have in a tournament setting where you got to refocus quickly, zero in on a scouting report, and be able to perform on short notice against a totally different opponent. That stuff's underrated. Because I think when you get to the NCAA tournament and the lights are on, if you can say you've been in those types of settings, it's not the NCAA tournament setting, but you've been in a tournament setting where we've had success as a group. We've done this before. For us, that was a very necessary step. And I've never, since we took over here 3 years ago, I've been very process driven, sometimes easier said than done. But very process driven and believe that our path to getting our program back to where we want it and where we feel it should be, we're not willing to skip any steps. And this was a step, a very necessary step for us along our journey.
About 3 years ago, after you got your head coaching position there, your first head coaching position, you sat in this, I think, same seat, and I was in the same seat in my ill-fated Coaching Origins podcast, and we talked about your journey to getting that first head coaching job. 3 years later, what has been the biggest good, bad, or indifferent surprise about the job that maybe, as prepared as you thought you were 3 years ago, maybe caught you a little off guard?
I think just I think some of the things that I think back on are the emotional maturity that's required. There's nothing that's happened here in these 3 years that I haven't seen before or maybe haven't experienced. But when you move over 18 inches on the bench, the mindset, the mode of thinking, it completely changes, because as an assistant for 22 years, I was programmed to think a certain way, and rightfully so, doing my job and being like locked into that, Jeff. But when you become a head coach, I think you realize how much power are in your words and your actions, in your responses, in your mindset, in your energy that you bring to the team in all forms and fashions. It can be verbal energy, nonverbal energy. That can be emotional energy. Your ability to communicate, even when you're frustrated, even when you're very results driven, but you can't be in certain moments as you're building a program essentially from scratch. We had a clean slate when we got here, of brand new locker room. That requires a level of, I think, emotional stability, intelligence, and maturity. And I think I've grown in that area, and I think that was maybe something I wouldn't have known, Jeff, to answer your question, maybe 3 years ago. So I'm like anybody else. I'm growing. We're all a work in progress, and I don't ever want to lose sight of that. I'm not perfect, but I'm always going to operate in truth. We're going to do it a certain way, and we're going to be really convicted in the way we're doing it.
He is Ryan Pedon, the men's basketball coach at Illinois State. Last question before I let you get out. When you are a championship winning coach, there are now babies to kiss and there are hands to shake. There are also first pitches to throw. I need to know how this all went. You're out there with Chase Walker throwing it out over the weekend. Number one, how's the elbow today? And did you bounce? I mean, you're throwing off the mound, so I respect that. You didn't try to pull the I'm throwing it from 40 feet deal. How'd that first pitch go?
Well, if Bob Euchre were there, just a bit outside would have been the call on mine. Chase's was pretty good. I've done these a couple times, but I've always been on the rubber there. So this was a little different. You're off center. You got another catcher on the other side of the plate, and I'm trying not to look at him, but knowing that, hey, man, if I miss this right, it's going to risk hitting a college catcher here while Chase is throwing the ball at him at the same time. So, yeah, for those people that watch these on TV, or you see,
they're scary, man.
Major leagues, it's a little harder when you get out there. Okay. I can only imagine being at a major league park where you probably have some nerves, but I haven't been on a mound since I was 13 years old. And I was throwing them off the backstop then anyways. So now I get up there, you're not loose, and you're trying to aim. But mine was a little off center, to answer your question, Jeff. Chase threw a better ball. My guy had to get up out of his stance and save it. But the only advice I got from Steve Holm, our head baseball coach, is you better not bounce it. So I made sure it was high. My guy had to reach about 5 or 6 feet up, and thankfully he caught it.
Well, here's the thing. You've got that picture, and someday when you sit down with the grandkids, boy, that sucker was right down the middle. They don't need to know any different. So
yeah, that's right. That's right. Nobody knows. Yeah.
Ryan Pedon, Illinois State head coach. Thank you so much for the time today. Enjoy. I don't know. There's no downtime. I don't even know why I bothered saying that. So enjoy the rest of your week. How about we go with that? And hopefully we can talk again soon.
Hey, Jeff, thanks again, man, for having me. And again, thanks for all that you do for Missouri Valley Conference. It's very important, and appreciate all that you do.
Appreciate you, Coach. Thank you. There's Ryan Pedon. Again, 22-14 this year, as they have gone, his journey in the Valley. 6-14 his first year, 9-11 his second year, 10-10 in year 3. Go win a CVI championship. We'll see what kind of springboard they're able to get. And again, especially the most significant piece, so much continuity coming back. We'll see how they can parlay that into success in 2025-26. All right, time now for guest number 2. Time to welcome in our friend Paul Oren from thevictorybell.com, our first 2-time guest on this fine internet program. Mr. Oren, good morning to you. boy, you're looking dapper. So you got lots of airtime in the introductory news conference for Courtney Boyd on Monday.
Man, they didn't even get my good side. How about that?
I know, but you wear the jacket. I mean, like, look, you got to make a first impression. I thought you did a wonderful job there. So, in terms of first impressions, what do we think about Coach Boyd?
Well, can I just let me backtrack for a second here?
All right.
Let me give a shout out to Ryan. I wrote the day the NCAA tournament started. I wrote a long story called "Who Asked for This?" kind of about NIL and the transfer portal and the hijacking of college basketball, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I put it out there in the world, and I didn't really know what was going to happen. And I didn't know if I was alone on an island or anything like that. Some fans reached out to me. Yes, we hate this, blah, blah, blah. Late that night, I'm not going to say what time, it was late, maybe even in the morning. I get a message from Ryan, and we'd never spoken before, by the way, and he just reached out to me, and I'm not going to share what he said, but he basically thanked me for putting all that out there. Right. And we had a good kind of back and forth or whatever. And at the time I was like, man, I feel for that guy, because Kinzinger is going to leave and Walker's going to leave, and they're going to have to restart the whole thing and all of that. And, look at it, man. They kept them all, right? And so we're not best friends, right? Like we don't call each other and ask how your day is, but we've exchanged some messages in the last just here and there a little bit. And I said about a week ago, I said, man, well done on keeping your guys, because it's awesome, And he had my curiosity. Now he has my attention. And same thing with your basketball program over there too, man. Oh man.
Well, as we've said, it's April. Everybody's 0-0 right now, so everybody's excited.
Yeah. I mean, God, they're gonna be like Calipari at year that he had all those studs, and he said, "We don't have bench players. We have what do you say, reserves or something like that, or we have replacements or whatever. Like we were sent reinforcements. That was his word. You're just sending them over the hill, like." It's like the starting 5 is great, but how about like a starting 10? Because that's what Murray State's rolling. So yes, let's get back to Courtney, what we talked about and all of that.
You said,
I tweeted out Courtney Boyd 1, press conference 0.
Yep.
It's like if and I don't know that like it's the job to win I don't even know what win the press conference means. I think it's a stupid term that journalists have made up because we think that press conferences are more important. What I loved about Courtney is she hated every second of that press conference, right? Like, and maybe hate's a strong word, but she just like wanted it to be done so she could become a basketball coach, right? And like she talked about that. She did say, "I'm glad the press conference is here on the court because this is where I'm the most comfortable." And she has like a self-deprecating humor to her that I think is really, really fun. She's basically like, you guys are going to figure out that it's not me. It's all the people behind me that are good at what they do. And I actually, I'm excited to get to know her more. I think it's going to be entertaining.
I was struck by her, I guess for just lack of a better phrase, she was in control. Like there was not there didn't seem to be a nervous energy. There didn't seem to be, it was just, she was very poised. She was in control. Obviously it's the biggest professional day of her life, but at the same time, not her first rodeo. I'm sure she's had microphones in her face in Quincy when she's been up there and getting to the NCAA tournament and winning a national championship at the NAIA level. But I think when you talk about winning the press conference, I think it's just fans, you want to walk out of there and be like, okay, we're in good hands. Like if nothing else, and that was my takeaway from it, was it's just like, okay, they're in good hands.
Yeah, it's these things are so strange because it's a press conference, but it's a celebration. But I'm not there to celebrate. Like I'm there to do my job, and so it's like a mixture of. And then like the president's there and like, what are we going to ask the president, and the AD is there. And I was really glad I could talk to her a little bit, hear a little bit more about the process, but like even as a journalist, you just kind of want it to get over with. So you can spend some one-on-one time with the person as opposed to like sitting there in a room with 60 coaches and all that stuff. But yes, she owned it, right? Like she had some thank yous she wanted to give. I actually really appreciated she probably anticipated some of the stuff. She talked about the style of play that she was going to go with, and we had a one-on-one session afterward, and I talked to her about some like, do you play positionless basketball? What's your thought on the mid-range jumper? Different things like that like we were able to kind of get in a little bit more X's and O's a bit. They got roster construction they've got to do. Yeah, really refreshing. I think the word you used at the top of the show was poise. And yeah, I think she was incredibly poised, right? Like she did, she did very well. And at the same time, there was like a refreshing quality to it. If I may, though, for a second, Jeff, and I know that you've just experienced this as well on your side of it. These are also tough because, like, you miss the people that aren't going to be here. There were a couple of assistants that were in the crowd for her introductory press conference who I'm certain later on in the day were told your services are no longer required.
Right. And
that's brutal because at the end of the day, I think, Jeff, what you and I do is we connect with humans. And I'm going to miss Mary. I'm going to miss a couple of the other people who are no longer on the staff directory. I'm not going to, speculate as to whether or not they've lost their jobs or whatever. Like, it's tough, but at the same time, you get excited about meeting the new people, right? Meeting Courtney, meeting her family. Had a good conversation with her wife about the restaurants they've went to already in town. And just getting to know new people. At the end of the day, that's what we do here. So it's an exciting yet a bittersweet day when you realize some people are leaving and other people are coming in. That's the nature of what we do.
Take me into the room. I think the one thing that struck me at point, and it's hard. I'm watching on an ESPN Plus stream. I'm not in the arc. I don't know what the vibe in the room is, but obviously there's general excitement. Hey, we got a new coach, and we're introducing her and all. But it felt like there was points she was making. Like every introductory news conference, there's a little bit of a political stump speech to it, and it felt like there was some applause lines in there, and there was no applause, and it almost felt like there was a rhythm to what could have happened, didn't really happen, and not that I want to overread into it, but what was just kind of the vibe in the room there?
Well, first of all, you said it's not her first rodeo, man. We had Charles Small's introductory press conference there, Laurel's introductory press conference there, Roger Powell's introductory press conference there, Andy Waddle's introductory press conference. Like, this is old hat at this point, right? Like, we've all been through the dance a few times. Sure. And it's different. I mean, it's President Padilla sitting up there, Laurel this time sitting up there, just like she was for Andy Waddle's press conference 4 months ago. The same people in the stands. Give me a microphone. I hope I dress well. I hope you get my good side. I don't have a good side. And then afterward, let's go upstairs to the Hilltop Gym and let's get some tea and crumpets. Like it's just it's kind of old hat. The nouns change, but everything else stays the same. It's so. I don't want to say there's fatigue in that because there's not, because it's a new celebration for people. I mean, again, I'm not sitting there going rah rah. It's my job to tell a story. But yes, I mean, she said all the right things, and it's probably not she just did one of these at Quincy, I would imagine 2 years ago. I don't know how big of a press conference they have or anything like that, but she kind of played back and forth with Roger a little bit in there. That was funny. She had some good stuff that she said. And I thought she did very well. I think her message is the same as everybody's has been at Valpo as of late. We need you here from the beginning. We need you here. Get on the ground floor now. The elevator's going up. It might move slow. It's always interesting, like when the president of the university starts off by saying, like, we know it's probably going to be a bad year. It's like, wait a minute. Like, you said the quiet part out loud. Like, I thought that was a little strange. Like, It's okay. I mean, but yeah, she went 10 and
Hey,
18 her first year at
new head
Quincy.
coach, I'd almost rather like, hey, you set that bar as low as you want, buddy, and we'll
Yeah,
close
sure,
and
sure.
go. Hey, we're going to win 25 games this year.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's just, these things by and large are their productions. It's streaming on ESPN, all of that stuff. I mean, I'm going to go through the archives and I just want to find, because I should have sent this to you. You could have used it. There's a good photo of Courtney and I from our one-on-one interview. And I think I have one of me and Andy Waddle, probably one of me and Mary Evans, probably one of me in the last. It's just like they're the souvenirs that we take with us, right?
Yeah.
And yeah.
So I guess just now we're down to business, and it's trying to fill rosters, and portals rapidly closing. And I mean, I think the math right now that you had is she's got 6 potential scholarships to fill. I mean, are there any answers at this point? And maybe the most pointed way to ask this is she bringing anybody from Quincy?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so, again,
even in a broad stance of, I don't have specific names or numbers, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, here's something to note. There were 2 women that played at Clark that went with her to Quincy eventually. One of them waited a year and then went or whatever. So clearly she has that in her repertoire that people want to play for her, right? They had a star, I believe her name is Nicole McDermott, at Clark and then Quincy. And she's seemingly out of eligibility, but given this strange NCAA waiver, maybe not sure. I think from my reading of the rules, I would think she'd have the ability to get another year. But she's been in college for 5 years, so despite the fact that the NCAA has basically said, look, if you played D2 or you played NAIA or whatever, you can get a year. I'm not sure. I would think I'm sure compliance has been looking at that. If she were to have an opportunity, she was an all-conference player, I would imagine they would look at that, There is a local player, Jessica Carruthers, who went to she was from a local high school, won a state championship, star player, went to Butler for a year, played all Big East freshman team, and then I think just wanted to come back near at home. And again, I'm maybe jumping to conclusions here, so maybe this isn't even accurate, but maybe just wanted. I mean, basketball had been a job for her in high school. They were so good in high school. They had high expectations, and it was a day in, day out grind. And I think maybe she just kind of wanted to chill. And so she transferred to IU Northwest. She's a D1 player without question. And she was just the NAIA player of the year. She averaged 31 points a game she played an exhibition against Valpo at 17. She's entered the portal yesterday. That to me would be like, let's make the call. But, Jeff Goodman's daughter, Talia, I believe is her name, who covers women's basketball, does it very well. I mean, she tweeted it out yesterday. She's entered the transfer portal. I have a belief that a long line of suitors is going to be there. If she wants to stay close to home, well, it's closest Division I university to her home. That would be a huge get. I don't even know if it's a possibility though, right? But I imagine they're kicking the tires on a lot of people. And the one thing I'll say is Courtney has done well at Clark and done well at Quincy, and now she's at a Division I school. So now maybe it's a different level of player. I'm not sure. Obviously, you start first and foremost recruiting your own players. Now the twins, Nevaeh and Sanaya Jackson, have committed to the school down south. Around here, again, we call that Butler. But their brothers at Butler, they're going to Butler. Layla Gold's in the transfer portal. Lexi Castater's in the transfer portal. Everybody else is back so far. Now you go through workouts and you see, and maybe the players say this isn't for me, or maybe the coaches say this isn't for us, and we see. But they've had a couple workouts now, and looks like everybody else was on board.
Well, the 4 words that she said that stuck with me, and I'm sure they'll stick with Beacon fans, and and certainly President Padilla. Great things take time, but she has shown she can build, and she can build into championship levels. And I know the folks in Valpo certainly hoping that can happen sooner than later. Paul Oren, victorybell.com.
Two-time.
That's right. We get to 3. I think there might be a smoking jacket. 5.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can get you a watch that on the mean streets of Paducah, Kentucky, that may or may not be a knockoff, but we'll see what we can do for you. So, Paul, thanks
Fantastic.
for the time.
Hey, thank you again for all you do. It's been fantastic.
All right, brother. Thank you. There's Paul Oren. Some other Valpo men's basketball news to get to this morning. They've got Roger Powell's got some folks coming in. Let's see. Jake Lieberman reporting that Gus Etchison, a 5'11" guard from Marian University, that's an NAIA school in Indianapolis, he is visiting today, according to Jake Lieberman. 24 points a game last year. 5'11" guard again at the NAIA level, shot 35.5% from three-point range. So we'll see if there's anything that comes out of Mr. Etchison's visit. Tobias Harris from The Athletic reporting that Javon Irvin, who spent last year at Mount St. Mary's, will have a visit soon. No specific date on that. He played 2 years of junior college, but then last year at Mount St. Mary's, 5 points a game, 2 rebounds. So he would have, again, the math is always fuzzy. So at least 2 years left potentially, but he will be visiting. And then one old friend, as Paul liked to say, one of our old friends from Valpo, Carson Schwieger, announced his commitment yesterday to Queens College, which is in Charlotte. Of course, his brother Cooper Schwieger, the former former freshman of the year in the Missouri Valley, was an all-conference player. He has transferred to Wake Forest. So at least for the Schwieger family, from Charlotte, North Carolina to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, that is 80 miles. So the Schwieger family can hopefully do some double dips watching Carson and Cooper continue their careers. We talked about Murray State earlier on and their recent additions of Javon Jackson from UIC and Lane Taylor from Central Arkansas, Brock Weiss coming in from North Texas. We do have 2 defections from the Racer programs, kids that played there. In one case, Nick Ellington played there the last 2 seasons. He announced last night, sort of his goodbye letter to Murray State fans. He was already in the portal, but there was some, there was some discussion about, I'm in the portal, I'm checking my options, I still might come back. Sunday, he visited George Mason University, but last night saying goodbye to Murray State. So Ellington, who started all but 2 games, I believe, this year at the 5 spot for the Racers. His backup, sort of the partners in crime down at that 5 spot for the Racers, Kyron Lindsay, also saying goodbye yesterday to Murray State fans. So Lindsay, who started his career, I believe it was at Georgia and then at Texas Tech for the first 2 seasons, came to Murray State and played, averaged about 6.5 points a game last year. He had been in the portal as well, but was also interested potentially in coming back, but that time has ended. So for now, Ryan Miller has 8 scholarships filled, 7 possibilities now. 7 filled, 8 possibilities. And then there are still 4 holdovers from last year. You have 2 returning players, Patrick Chu, Justin Morgan, 2 incoming freshmen, and Tristan Ford, Jaden Rickard. Those 4 have not made any public proclamations about whether they're coming back. But as the days go by, it appears maybe they're coming back. And so Ryan Miller's 15 will be filled up sooner than later there. Some other news today from a commitment standpoint, and this is the Drake Bulldogs, as Eric Henderson continues to cook, as the kids say. I promise to never say that again. I promise. I know. Jayshon Thomas, the Charlotte transfer, has committed to Drake. 6'3" guard, 9.5 points a game. He was 4th for Charlotte last season in scoring. He was a 37% three-point shooter, 80% from the free throw line. He is again, it's coming from Charlotte, and what you've seen now here in the last couple of weeks is, and this is where we're kind of waiting for the Valley as a whole to start bringing guys in. Murray State has obviously been bringing guys in at warp speed here for the last 2 weeks. Drake, after Henderson is introduced over there, he has started bringing guys in, whether they're coming in from South Dakota State, whether they're coming in from Charlotte, they have added some as well. And then Illinois State, as we've talked about with Ryan Pedon earlier on, just such retention that they haven't really had to go into the portal. And with his 4 freshmen coming in, I don't know at the end what the math says, how many he has to go and get, but those are the 3 real teams that are as close to being set. Certainly Murray State and Drake have a lot of work still to do, but the other 8 schools in the league, there has not been a lot of addition. And so again, with the portal open for another week or so, you just expect we're going to start seeing the snowballs roll from those schools here in the coming days. A couple other old friends to talk about this morning. Tayshawn Comer, the all-league player at Evansville. He committed yesterday to the Wolfpack of Nevada. And then Yassine Toomey, who spent a couple of years at Evansville, transferred out to Seton Hall last year, 6'10", just that long, lean pogo stick of a forward that we saw play really well at Evansville. I mean, he was an 11 point, 6.5 rebound a game for a guy for David Ragland, went to Seton Hall, didn't play a lot, averaged about 4 points a game there. He's back into the portal as a graduate transfer. So as we talked about, with Zeke Montgomery, as we talked about the other day with Cade Tyson in Belmont to North Carolina, maybe back to Belmont, maybe Yassine goes back to Evansville. Don't know, but certainly David Ragland has gotten a ton of big guys to come in, and seemingly, I don't know what the need is for another 6'10" guy to come in, but Yassine Toomey certainly had plenty of success there at Evansville over the years. And lastly, this morning, Titan Anderson, the first team all-league player from Northern Iowa, earned second team academic All-American honors this week from the College Sports Communicators. There's only 15 players in the country that are honored with this All-American honor. He was the only student athlete from the Missouri Valley Conference. He was a first team all conference, all scholar team guy, and obviously just a dynamic performer for those Panthers of UNI. But congratulations to Titan Anderson for being an academic All-American. That does it for today. For this edition of Morning in the Valley, I want to thank Ryan Pedon for being with us today, Illinois State men's basketball coach. Thanks to Paul Oren being our 2-time guest from the victorybell.com. Thanks to all of you, as always, for joining us today. We will be back Friday morning, 9 a.m., every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 o'clock, wherever you're watching us today. If you head over to YouTube, share, like, subscribe, all that stuff, and you'll get the little notification every time we go live there. Just search Morning in the Valley over on YouTube. All right, that does it for today. We'll see you on Friday morning right here on Morning in the